Hello. Bitch, I'm worth it. And monogamy. I'm worth monogamy. So I was, I've been in a few polyamorous relationships, not great experiences. Some of it had to do with a bit of confusion, but one had to do with trickery. One was very short-lived, but recently I was talking to this guy, and this guy was schmoozing me up and schmoozing me up and schmoozing me up, and kind of like building this like, okay, you're going to like start falling in love with me, and then doing this kind of like, no, I don't think we can do this because you fell in love with me, right? And I told you from the start, I just want to do a polyamorous relationship. And I'm like, yeah, but that's bullshit, right? And now granted, there are reasons why polyamory exists, reasons why it could be beneficial in some situations. But I think a lot of the time it's like it's like Hussein Abi, right? It's like wokeness gone insane, right? I understand how like because like gay and lesbian people cannot reproduce, like you simply can't have two same-sex people reproduce, that the dynamic of the relationship is a little bit different. Like I've known lots of gay men, one who was kind of like a boyfriend at one point, where I was a third wheel in a relationship, in a polyamorous relationship, and who was also very much just a friend, right? Where, they will say things like, I am a slut, right? I'm a slut. There's no point in denying it because I'm going to do what I do and I'm going to have my fun. And you can say that's a gay thing, right? But one of the things I'm discovering from like dating guys from like LGBT sites versus hetero sites is that like the grass isn't any greener on the other side of the fence. Why? Because these are men, right? Men have somewhat insatiable libidos, right? Men have ego problems, and then there may be other very pragmatic things to polyamory, like long distance relationships and the reality of the situation, or the reality of infidelity with married straight men, or just, there's numerous things, right? Maybe you've fallen in love with somebody, but at the same time too, you're keeping them at a distance, right? I believe that some people have relationships and when their partner has a sexual interest in another partner, they do not experience jealousy. I'm sure that happens. But just like maybe people with Asperger's cannot read faces a lot of the time. They cannot read facial expressions. Or like someone like me may be more of an aspect of like gender dyslexia and things along this line. Like there may be physiological differences in people's brains and why they experience motions the way they experience motions, right? But the issue is that, like, I think typically, we are not polyamorous animals because it is too complicated. Right? And part of what I realized in all of this, like going through this experience of talking to this guy, and this guy getting kind of like smear me and kind of like doing this like love bombing kind of thing, like over the phone and whatnot, and then kind of like trying to pull the rug out on me at the end. Is it like, okay, this was a power trip, right? This was a power trip, you know? And I know, like, from my experience that, like, dating sucks, right? When you're on the opposite end of being single, dating sucks. You know, and two, there's an aspect of, with men, there is an aspect of like trying to take this person, this guy, and groom him into being relationship material, right? Because men often have one primal objective, right? They're junk, right? They think the two lower testes on men, is like the frontal lobe, right? I mean, let's face it, right? Women cheat too, right? But it's almost always men. Men typically cheat. Women maybe cheat for different reasons, or women open a relationship up for different reasons, like drama. What's a relationship without drama, right? But it's really, really tiring, to get into these, to be like out there, trying to kiss frogs and looking for a prince, right? Like, it's just, why bother? I think a lot of the time, right? Because you're going to have to groom this person into becoming relationship material. Or do casual sex. And I really have no interest in casual sex. I sometimes find myself like caught in a hit and run, but I really have no interest in just like, I have too much fear of STDs to go out and just be promiscuous, right? If there was no fear of STDs, I'd be like, I don't know. But at the same time too, it's like my heart is connected to my brain, right? And so if I start talking to someone or I get involved in someone, it's because I've taken an amorous interest in them, and I'm looking at like, hey, let's spark up a relationship. But also too, like looking at the reality of polyamorous relationships, and that like, there's a very pragmatic side of it, which I comprehend. There is the aspect that, some people may not have a jealous bone in their body. There's sexual exploration. There is all kinds of different things, right? All kinds of different things, and looking at the pragmaticness of it, is that like, it is also very, looking at the pragmatic relationship of it, like, how do you fall in love? How do you get in bed with somebody and not fall in love with them? Right? Or not expect something in return. For example, you fall in bed with somebody and they become your friend with benefits, right? And then you go to the bar, right? And somebody tries to knock your block off, right? And your friend with benefits, what is your friend with benefits going to do? Just stand back and go, oh, it's not my problem, right? We're not in a real relationship. I don't have to care about you. Like having promiscuous sex, or having a friends with benefits relationship, a polyamorous relationship with somebody, catching an STD, and the person being like, well, hey, you agreed to it. Okay, you agreed to it, but like, that is a shite situation. Right? That is a shite situation. And I don't know how like fair that is in reality, in the scope of things. But that is the reality and the scope of things with polyamory. And not to mention too, and it's like in polyamorous relationships, in my experience, like one guy that I was with, and he told me straight up, like, Bob is my husband. Bob is my husband. we sleep around, we're open to like new relationships, but Bob is my husband. You know, there's a hierarchy. There's you, there's my husband, right? And this is an aspect of our sexual play kind of thing. Teach their own, you know, teach their own. I don't know, getting into like an LGBT site and looking at it in that regard, and sort of noticing that like, will you stay there, please? I guess not. And sort of noticing that like, the grass is not any greener on the other side, right? Like straight men are not in, because I've been with straight men, and straight men, you know, maybe just a different fruit bowl arrangement than, say, bisexual men, you know, but there's this aspect, you know, of, I think with like bisexual men, that there's this aspect of like, I'm too beautiful, I'm too good, I'm too desirable, you know, you cannot have me, kind of thing, which is a little bit like in the gay spectrum of things, you know, like there's very much an aspect within the gay spectrum of things that it's like, a lot of gay male homosexual relationships depends a lot upon beauty and attractiveness. I don't know that that's entirely necessarily true of lesbian relationships, but definitely true of like gay male relationships, or relationships with bisexual men and whatnot. But and it being like undesirable, you know, or like having to, or like what they want from me. Like what do you know? I mean, like what they want from me, what they want me to be. You know, what are they really looking for? Or men who are confused about their sexuality and are trying to figure things out and are like thinking like, you know, okay, well you're a she-male, and I'm like, you know, and they get into it and they start talking to me and they start going like, no, you're a chick. You think like a chick, you act like a chick, right? And there's a reason for that, because I am, right? And I was with I had like a sexual experience with somebody the other day, and they're like, I wasn't quite sure at first, but now, like after kind of like going for it a bit, you know, I kind of realized, no, you really are female, right? Well, you know, you're a chick with you're a Chiquita Vanna chick, right? Yeah, that's what I've been telling you. That's what I've been telling you, right? I'm female. I'm not in between. I'm not male. I'm female, right? You know, the proof is in the pudding. Why people don't comprehend that is because they know beforehand, and that they can't comprehend it a lot of the time. But yeah, no, and like, and polyamory and as a power trip too, I think is also very real. It's very real in the sense that like, dating sucks, right? People get hurt in dating. You know, it ruins people's want to thrive in terms of like romantic relationships, right? You know, so you get people who are just like, just sex. I just want to get in, I want to get off, and I want to get out. Right? And this is like, if you think this is specific to like the LGBT, you are very much mistaken, my friend, because in my experience with like straight dating sites and whatnot, that is what straight men want. They want to get in, they want to get off, and they want to get out as quick as possible and come back for seconds on their terms whenever they're ready. Right? One polyamorous relationship I had, which really stunk, because I met this guy and it was kind of like working, you know, and then for some reason this guy just did a turn on me, and I think he was going through something with like an ex or an ex-wife or something, and then down to the point where it was like, the last time I saw him, he was like, I want to have sex without a condom. And I was like, no bloody way. No bloody way. I'm not doing that. Right? And why? Because I'm worth it. Right? My life is too valuable. You know, and there are numerous other things that are like, you know, why don't you want to engage in a polyamorous relationship? Polyamory is healthy. Polyamory is the only way. Polyamory is blah, 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 right? You know, it's like because I am worthy, I am deserving of a monogamous relationship. I'm deserving of a real, functional, happy, fulfilling relationship, right? And if somebody else doesn't get that, then bitch, you don't deserve me. Right? You don't get that, then you don't deserve me. No, I'm worth it. And if all you're looking for is just a hug and a poke, maybe you aren't worth it.